Thanks for joining us. I'm Courtney Cole with a WBZ News update and a look at our top stories. The family of a missing woman in Brookfield is hoping to resume their search for her today. 35-year-old Brittany T was last seen leaving a home in Brookfield on Tuesday. This was around 8:30 at night, but she has not been seen or heard from since. Police tell us she was wearing a black winter coat, a hoodie, jeans, and work boots. They say detectives pinged her cell phone's last position near the Brookfield State Police Barracks on Route 9 before the trail goes cold. There may be more delays in Jamaica Plain today as crews finish repairs on a broken water main. Crews say that they're having some trouble fixing the pipe on Heath Street. Apparently, part of the line is still leaking. Now, water has been restored, but residents might experience some lower water pressure during the repairs. The 36-inch pipe broke early Saturday and flooded the neighborhood so badly that officials had to call in high water rescue vehicles to help neighbors. Political and community leaders came together to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy at the 53rd annual Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Breakfast. This year's theme is Reclaiming Our Rights, Education, and Activism. Organizers hope to raise awareness about the essential significance of education in the pursuit of social justice. Governor Healy and Boston Mayor Michelle Wu spoke at today's event, along with Embrace Boston's Executive Director, Imari Paris Jeffries. He helped lead the new MLK Memorial on Boston Common. The Memorial Breakfast Committee says this is the longest running event of its kind in the country. And now for a check of your next weather forecast with meteorologist Zack Green.
Well, for the first time so far this season, it feels like a real taste of winter across Boston. 32 degrees right now at Logan, and we've got a little dust up of snow across the city when we're looking out to the gray scene around the Zachem. And most of southern New England is in this path. However, it's interesting to note, Boston, for the first time so far, recorded over 1 inch of snow. That arrived last evening right around 8:40 p.m. and that is one of the latest times that has ever occurred on record. In fact, it ties the 5th latest time that has ever happened. Now, the number 1 latest, that was back on February 14th in 2007. So that's still going to be taking the cake. And if we go back just a few years ago, it was just around January 7th. So we're kind of on par for what the last decade or so has ultimately had. But nonetheless, we finally get a real shot of it. 3 inches in Haverhill, Cohasset, as well as Middleborough. I think there's a few locations that are going to be approaching 4 when all is said and done. And you notice we've lowered some visibility around eastern Massachusetts. Reason behind that, some steady snow showers. So we are anticipating this to be snow rather than fog. We always seem to talk about this when it's just fog development and low-lying clouds. But you notice some of the intensity bringing us down to about 1/4 of a mile over at the 95 and 93 corridor. The main drags aren't all that bad. A little bit of salt, a little bit of sand can go a very long way. It's going to be those secondary roads, the ones that the plows don't really get to, that will likely lead to snow-covered roads, icing, glazing, very difficult and tricky travel. Let's actually include your driveway and your front steps on that. So it's slippery underfoot. Hopefully with the Monday holiday, not a lot of people are going to be out and about to go along with the afternoon and evening. We'll carry the same trend over into 3 and 3A. This persistent band has just been drained into eastern Plymouth County, so that's why the highest totals are probably going to set themselves up from Cohasset down to Plymouth. Maybe do enough to kind of clip over into the Bourne area, but nonetheless, by the Cape and the Islands, you guys have a little more of a compact snowpack. It's a little bit wetter as it's coming out of Cape Cod Bay, so I don't think it's going to be as impressive once we go east of the bridges. But you make your way over into northern Maine, and this is going to be our next chance. It's going to drain itself down into coastal Massachusetts over the next few hours, so still an impact for the 95 corridor and 128 as we go into the end of the day, and then we'll gradually clear things out from west to east. The core of this is actually well offshore, 450 miles away from us, and oddly enough, this is being tracked by the National Hurricane Center for a little tropical development. It's surrounded by a cold air mass on a lot of fronts, so it's got no shot of actually strengthening, but if it were to be the first named storm, which by the way we never seem to talk about in January, it would be Arlene. The temperatures are still cold enough to allow some of those slick spots once we go into the evening. We'll clear things out once we move overnight. However, waking up tomorrow morning, we've got the 20s and 30s. So even though we break out the sunshine, icy spots are still going to be scenario for Tuesday morning. Let the blue sky do what it does. Mid to upper 40s, it'll begin to melt and thaw things off. By Wednesday, we're close to 50 degrees, and that mild air sticks around for our next weather event, Thursday and Friday. This is plain rain. There may be a little wintry mix at the onset and on the end of this system, but it does want to wrap for the upcoming weekend. Partly cloudy skies and back to January standards on Saturday.
All right, thank you, Zach. I'm Courtney Cole. This has been a WBZ News Update.